A.J. Brown just turned the Philadelphia Eagles into the NFL's biggest ticking time bomb. And if the Patriots steal him, New England could become an absolute nightmare overnight.
What I need us to stop doing is stop dancing around what the real issue and what the real storyline is here. A.J. Brown going to the New England Patriots and reuniting with Coach Mike Vrabel is not the biggest storyline here. The biggest storyline is that the Philadelphia Eagles, a little more than a year removed from a Super Bowl championship, with a Super Bowl MVP in quarterback Jalen Hurts, has an all-world wide receiver being paid $32 million a year plus, wanting to leave. Now tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how that makes sense. You know, I mean, at some point in time, we got to have that discussion. And we got to stop acting like we're Fred Astaire, the late, great Gregory Hahn, somebody, and tap dancing around issues. What the hell is going on? If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, that is supposed to be the story in the city of Philadelphia. And here you are, Dan, along with you, Shay. You are listening to somebody right now that wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. I'm giving you insight into what the hell I would be writing. I was a columnist for my last several years there, for the last 7-8 years there. I was a columnist, okay? And I'm telling you, I'd be all over this because it makes no sense. What the hell is going on? He said 5 offensive coordinators, 5 over the last 5 years. I got it, but I've never seen an all-world wide receiver appear to want out so consistently, so demonstratively, you understand, as a guy like A.J. Brown, when you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Ultimately, that has to come back to him. Show me, Dan Orlovsky, you know your history. You know your football backwards and forwards. Just tell me that.
I would tell you that it's not all that different than the Stephon Diggs situation. You know, Steph was dominant in Minnesota. They didn't have the all-world quarterback. He goes to Buffalo, dominant, and that relationship seemed to run its course.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. You said 2 things. You said, number 1, they didn't have an all-world quarterback. That was number 1. Number 2, if you remember, they were trying to big up Adam Thielen, and he got offended by that because he knew he was a number 1. But Adam Thielen was somebody that they were trying to big up. So those 2 things, it was very, very plausible. The combination of having an all-world quarterback, not winning, and on top of it all, trying to big up somebody that you thought was inferior to you, which was insulting to Stephon Diggs, made all the sense in the world. Ain't nobody trying to big up somebody over A.J. Brown. Yep. Plus he got his money. Plus they won. They're Super Bowl champions. And literally, within months of that, he wants out. I mean, come on now. Sunday right?
No, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Stephen A. My point with Steph was at the Buffalo point. But I also would say this. I think, one, the prior friendship might have a little bit of part of this as well.
And I'm not trying to sit up there and say that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' relationship is salty. I don't know. I don't cover the team like that. I have no idea. What I'm saying is that if I'm an all-world receiver, we've won a Super Bowl championship, we're winning football games. I'm not trying to leave that situation if I'm an all-world receiver, and I believe I have an all-world quarterback. At some point in time, we have to, because I know there's going to be an abundance of people that want to come to the defense of Jalen Hurts, whether it's the Kimberly Martins or it's the Ryan Clarks, it's the Swagoos, whomever. And they're all right to do so. Hell, I want to, because the man is a winning Super Bowl MVP. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes and not one but both Super Bowls. We get all of that. But somebody has to say, clearly, A.J. Brown, no matter what lip service he gives on Micah Parsons' podcast or anywhere else, he clearly doesn't have the belief in the star quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles that a star wide receiver should have for a quarterback. He doesn't have that belief, because if he did, there's no way on earth he'd be wanting out like he does. There's no way. There's just no way.
The reality is the stats are pretty similar when A.J. Brown did play for the Eagles last year and when he didn't. In fact, in the 2 games he was on the sideline, they actually had more receiving touchdowns than they did when he was in the game.
3 days to the draft, but we have a developing story this morning with our full crew here. I recommend, in fact, I borderline insist that you go on ESPN.com right now and read Adam Schefter's annual column in which he has all of his notes the week of the draft. The one that is getting the most traction right now, Schefty, it's basically exploding the internet, is the very latest on A.J. Brown and the Eagles. Go.
A trade is tracking to happen between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots post-June 1. Post-June 1, because that's when the Eagles can split up A.J. Brown's salary cap charge and not be crippled financially by making the trade now. That is why you will not get a trade of A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots or anywhere else during draft week, when a lot of other deals will be made. And the Philadelphia Eagles very well may have another trick or two up their sleeve this week in terms of a deal for a veteran player that's out there. Their general manager, Howie Roseman, always scouring, looking, searching for that next deal. And it wouldn't be a surprise to see him pull off another trade aside from the A.J. Brown trade this upcoming week. They have been talking to the Vikings about Jonathan Grenard in the past. It seems like those talks have lost some steam. We'll see if there's another player out there that captures the Eagles' attention and they're able to pull that off. But for the time being, I think the Eagles and Patriots both have to operate as if a trade for A.J. Brown is likely to get done post-June 1. The Patriots will get the receiver that they've wanted, and the Eagles obviously have been preparing for this, trading for wide receiver Dontavian Wicks and signing wide receivers Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore.
Worth taking both sides of this, the Philadelphia side of it. Dan, I mean, we have watched this develop, and it makes me feel when this trade happens, absent anything else, I'll be happy because it means that all the things that I thought I was seeing, I was not crazy, right? That what we were watching was an unhappy player for whatever reason.
Things up.
Exactly. Like A.J. Brown was just an unhappy, for whatever reason, whether it's the relationship with the quarterback or the way he was used in the offense or whatever it is. There's only one hard, fast rule, and that is if a player is reading a book on the sideline during a game, he's not enthralled with what's going on. So what does this mean when they trade A.J. Brown away from a Philadelphia standpoint?
That the relationship had run its course, and Philadelphia can still be a very good offense if they don't have A.J. Brown.
How? What will it change?
Because I just think they're going to change schematically how they play. Totally.
You got to go out there and do it now. Execute it.
I think no one could argue that the Eagles didn't get what they hoped to get out of the A.J. Brown acquisition. Right? They trade a first-round pick for him on draft night. They end up winning a Super Bowl with him. Obviously, that's what you hope happens. This is a GM in Howie Roseman who has now built 2 separate Super Bowl champion teams. 2 separate builds, right? And so if you're the Eagles, you're thinking ahead. You're thinking, we may have to take a lump or two putting in a new offense this year, changing offensive line coaches after so much time, et cetera. But you're thinking, we need to be ahead of it rather than wait till it goes bad on us. And I think that's what they're saying. Plus, by the way, they're not going to just give A.J. Brown away for a 4th-round pick. I think when June 2nd rolls around and we see the return on this trade.
Well, Jalen Waddle went for
the 30th pick of the draft.
And more, and another, like a third or something like that.
But you're talking about next year picks, obviously,
Correct.
Since this is going to happen after the draft. But that's the draft everybody wants in anyway. So.
And then you take it from the New England side of it. And what I think, if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm delirious. I'm so excited about this because that's a team that last year, they had the kind of run that could delude you into thinking you're better than you are. They played 2 playoff games. One was Houston in bad weather, and the opposing quarterback just had the worst day of his life. And then the second one, they played a team without their quarterback. And then they go to the Super Bowl and they get beat badly. They were a really good team. They have a young quarterback who's terrific, who's developing. The best thing you could do for him is get him A.J. Brown.
And I think the addition of A.J. Brown would give them a top 3 pass-catching group in the AFC. And I argue the best trio. Cincinnati's going to sit at the top. You were making a point because of 1, 2, T and Jamar are just so good. But who outside of New England now with New England, if you get A.J. Brown, you got Romeo Doubs, you got Kayshon Boutte, who took a huge step last year. That's a pretty good trio. And you still have Kyle Williams, and you still have Pop Douglas. So I think just from a pass-catching group perspective, it went from a somewhat of a weakness maybe at this point a year ago to now one of the best in the conference.
And it's not just, sometimes you bring a player in from the outside, you wonder how he's going to fit.
Yeah.
But Mike Vrabel coached A.J. Brown in Tennessee. Like, this has been out there for so long. We know he seems like he wants to be there, so I don't think you have those concerns. Stephon Diggs played well for them last year, but at this point in Stephon Diggs' career, he is not what A.J. Brown is in terms of a number one wide receiver, and I think obviously you're seeing them level up there.
My only question, you hear Shefty say, like, this is happening. If I'm Josh McDaniels, how soon can I get this playbook to A.J. Brown? I want him to hit the ground running with this offense and get in there and say, hey.
Go out there,
hey,
run a stop route, win.
Shefty, get back in here.
Listen, you can't go this far down the road. Both sides can't acknowledge their talks. You can't shop A.J. Brown during the season and then think that it's possible to bring him back to Philadelphia. I think both sides now, with this being draft week, have to operate as if this trade is going to happen post-June 1. It won't happen this week, but it sounds like the Patriots are absolutely committed to re-engaging right around June 1st, and it sounds like this trade is absolutely tracking to happen.
New England fans, you said it, delirious. You talked about last year looking at your team saying, all right, we're not where we're supposed to be or where we think we are. At the same time, if you're a New England Patriots fan, last year you were able to find out we actually have a quarterback that has the ability to go win. So now it's how fast can we get the guys around him while he's still on his rookie contract to be able to go win this thing right now in the AFC. You mentioned AFC North, a lot of new coaches. We talk about the Buffalo Bills. We talk about the Baltimore Ravens. And the AFC, they're hitting a little bit of the reset button. For New England, you have a chance now to continue to stack up and go for it all right now. Bo Nix is going to be coming off an injury as we look about that AFC Championship game. Now Drake Maye showed you, hey, without a dog out there at receiver like an A.J. Brown, I can go and finish second in the MVP. Now you add a guy like A.J. Brown to that offense. What is Drake Maye going to look like in year 3?
And as a quick final thought just on A.J. Brown, he feels like he's been around forever because he's been such a big part of the... In June, he'll turn 29. Like, he's younger than you perceive him to be.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.